It's what you make it. If you don't do anything, nothing will happen. There is nothing to escape from. You have to create your own reality.
Dolph Lundgren shot to worldwide fame as Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, that cold-blooded beast who stole every scene. But behind that legendary glare were 5 names that cut him so deep, he swore he'd never share the screen with them again. At 68, Lundgren finally opened up. Those people weren't enemies at first. They were his friends, his co-stars, his supposed allies, until they flipped on him. They challenged him to fights at Cannes, cut him out of final edits, and even mocked him in public like he was a nobody. And when you find out who these stars are, you'll be shocked by just how massive their names still are in Hollywood. Before we dive into the madness, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. All right, let's jump straight into the storm. First up, Jean-Claude Van Damme, the biggest name on Dolph's secret blacklist. Yep, the muscles from Brussels himself tops the list. Their beef didn't start as simple ego trouble. It turned into one of the wildest rivalries in action movie history. These two weren't just clashing on screen, they were straight up throwing energy off camera that you could feel. It all began in 1992, during the filming of Universal Soldier. The producers thought matching the Belgian superstar with the Swedish powerhouse would print money at the box office. But the crew soon realized they weren't managing a movie. They were trying to keep 2 thunderstorms from exploding. Lundgren showed up like a machine. Lines locked in, attitude disciplined, everything sharp and military style. Van Damme, completely different story. He strutted onto set like he was running the studio, tweaking scenes mid-shoot, demanding retakes just to flash another signature kick, and even ordering lighting changes so he'd look more heroic on camera. One crew member later told the French press, "Every day felt like watching 2 lions stare each other down across a field." Then came the infamous Cannes showdown, the moment their feud went nuclear. In front of a crowd full of journalists, Van Damme suddenly stepped toward Dolph and said, "Come outside and finish it." People thought it was just a stunt for publicity, but it was real. Dolph later admitted in a Swedish interview, "If I'd said yes, it wouldn't have ended well for anybody." That line sent chills through Hollywood because everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. Van Damme kept pushing for creative control, throwing in his own ideas like he was the director. But Dolph? He shut that down cold and kept things strictly professional. They shared scenes, sure, but not a single real conversation, not one word off camera. And here's the twist that stunned fans. When someone asked Dolph in 2018 if he'd ever work with Van Damme again, he didn't even pause. He just smirked and said, "Why? What's left to prove?" That one line said it all. This feud was never meant to heal. Both men stood their ground and neither ever blinked. But if you think that rivalry was messy, just wait till you hear who's next. Steven Seagal, the ultimate ego clash that made Dolph walk straight out of the room. People love to joke about Seagal's arrogance, but Dolph wasn't laughing. He lived through it, and it was something else. Their first meeting wasn't even on a film set. It was a private sit-down to discuss a possible action movie. Everyone expected a normal table read, maybe some light talk about stunts and schedules. Instead, Seagal walked in wearing sunglasses indoors, flanked by a bodyguard, like some action king come to bless the room. He didn't even say hello before locking eyes with Dolph and saying, "You should know I'm the top fighter here." That was his introduction. Dolph didn't blow up, he was just baffled. But then Seagal doubled down, saying, "I don't take hits on camera, ever." That was it. Dolph instantly knew what kind of guy he was dealing with. As the meeting dragged on, Seagal kept talking himself up, acting like a living legend who couldn't be beaten, couldn't be bruised, couldn't even break a sweat. He demanded script rewrites so his character would never lose. The producers tried to keep their cool, but Dolph could feel how tense the room got. One of them even whispered, "He wants to be bulletproof." And the chaos didn't stop there. Stunt performers warned Dolph later that Seagal had a bad habit of using real force during demonstrations. One poor guy showed up the next day with a swollen wrist saying, "He said it builds character." Can you believe that? That experience burned into Dolph's mind. Years later, he summed it up perfectly. "Discipline impresses me. Pretending doesn't." That wasn't shade. That was pure honesty. From that day on, Dolph told his team he'd walk off any project the moment Seagal's name came up. The second Steven Seagal's name showed up on any project list, studios tried pairing him and Dolph again, but Dolph slammed the door shut every single time. He didn't even entertain the idea. That one ended before it ever had the chance to begin. Next on the blacklist, Mickey Rourke, the man who turned admiration into open hostility with just one line. Imagine this. You're sitting at a table read, ready to dive into your role, and someone you respect turns to you and says, "You're the muscle, I'm the mind." That one sentence was the crack that split their friendship in two. Their tension didn't blow up all at once. It grew slowly, moment by moment, during the shoot of their early 2000s action thriller filmed in Eastern Europe. It was brutally cold, the kind of winter that makes your breath freeze in the air. But what really froze the crew wasn't the weather. It was Mickey's unpredictable behavior that wrecked whole shooting days. Here's what went down. Mickey showed up on set with pages and pages of handwritten monologues he'd written himself. Long speeches about childhood pain, Vietnam memories, guilt, religion, none of which were in the script. These weren't little tweaks. They were full-blown rewrites that blindsided everyone. Actors froze mid-scene, not knowing what to say because Mickey kept changing the emotional energy every single take. One night, they were set to shoot a big standoff scene at 10 p.m. sharp. Everyone was ready. Cameras prepped, lights set, Dolph fully geared up, waiting in the freezing cold. But Mickey? He didn't show until 1:47 a.m., strolling in with a cigarette dangling from his mouth and saying, "I needed to walk the city to get into character." The crew had been waiting for hours, exhausted and freezing. That was the night Dolph finally snapped. He turned to the assistant director and said, "If he leaves again, shoot without him." You could feel the tension hit the roof. And then came the worst moment, the one that ended any chance of peace between them. During a simple blocking rehearsal, Mickey suddenly shoved the script supervisor and shouted, "Don't tell me how to feel a scene. I feel it when it hits me." Then he looked straight at Dolph, smirked, and added, "Some guys act from instinct, others just flex." That was the dagger. Cold, public, and humiliating. It wasn't a joke. It was a full-on insult. After that, things never recovered. When the movie wrapped, Mickey completely bailed on the promo tour, leaving Dolph alone to face every Mickey-related question the press could throw at him. The respect was gone, replaced with silence and a grudge that still hasn't faded. Mickey never called, never apologized, never even acknowledged the tension that hung between them. Still, Dolph didn't lash out publicly. He just said one calm but final thing. "We won't share a set again." And that was that. No drama, no forgiveness, just a quiet wall that never came down. Next up, Tom Berenger, the fourth name on Dolph Lundgren's infamous blacklist. This time, it wasn't about insults or ego-fueled shouting matches. No, this one ran deeper, colder. Because Tom didn't try to argue with Dolph, he tried to erase him from his own movie. Their conflict started back in 2002 during the filming of a war action flick shot in Slovakia. The production was tight. Small budget, tight schedule. Everyone expected a disciplined military-style shoot. Dolph came in ready to work, professional, focused, prepared. But Berenger, he walked in acting like the whole movie should revolve around him. Within the first week, he started handing out new script pages he'd revised himself. Every change somehow made his speeches longer and Dolph's dialogue shorter. The director tried to keep the peace, but the crew saw exactly what was happening. Berenger wasn't collaborating. He was rebuilding the movie around his own role. Then came the breaking point. A night shoot at an old steel factory. The scene was supposed to be quick and sharp, a simple face-off. But Berenger refused to roll cameras unless he could add a long, emotional moment of reckoning he had written for himself. His speech dragged on for almost 2 full minutes, completely wrecking the tension that the script depended on. The pacing was gone, the energy dead. Everyone on set felt it. Finally, Dolph couldn't take it anymore. He stepped forward, looked right at the director, and said, "He's hijacking the film." The words hung heavy in the air. Berenger didn't fight back. He just turned around and walked straight to his trailer, leaving the crew frozen in awkward silence. But the worst hit came after filming wrapped. During post-production in Bratislava, one of the editors quietly reached out to Dolph's team with shocking news. Berenger had privately requested that several of Dolph's medium shots be cut. He also asked that his own reaction close-ups be increased and demanded extra inserts of his face during their shared scenes. He wanted the whole movie to feel like his solo performance, with Dolph fading quietly into the background. That was the final line Dolph couldn't forgive. He finished his ADR sessions, stood up from the mic, and walked straight out of the studio. When his agent asked how it went, Dolph said just one thing, a line that summed up everything he felt. "If Berenger signs a project, I'm not interested." That was his way of closing the book for good. Dolph has never broken that rule since, not once. And now we've reached the final name on his hidden blacklist, Brian Thompson, the quiet rival who turned a role into a long-lasting resentment. This feud wasn't loud or explosive like the others. It brewed slowly, built on sly remarks, sneaky shade, and a kind of disrespect that always felt intentional. Their tension actually started way back during Rocky IV. While Dolph was skyrocketing to global fame as Ivan Drago, Brian Thompson was whispering in casting circles that he had also been considered for the role, and that he would have brought more depth to it. Can you imagine? At first, Dolph brushed it off as the usual Hollywood talk. But Thompson didn't stop there. Over the years, every time their paths crossed at an event or a party, Thompson would slip in these subtle digs, always just loud enough to sting. At one industry mixer, after a group started chatting about legendary movie villains, Thompson said, right within Dolph's earshot, "Some roles are written flat. The actor can only do so much." Everyone froze. They knew exactly who he was referring to. It wasn't a joke. It was shade disguised as small talk. Things only got worse during a table read for an action movie in the early 90s. Thompson nitpicked every single line that made his character seem weaker than Dolph's. He interrupted him twice during rehearsal, clearly trying to push buttons. Then, with a smirk, he said, "Let's not make this look like a weightlifting contest." That line hit Dolph harder than any punch he'd ever taken. Still, he kept his cool, until the moment that finally broke the silence years later. It happened at a Las Vegas fan expo in the 2010s. During a Q&A session, Thompson mocked Dolph's most iconic line, the legendary "I must break you." He told the crowd, "I'd have delivered it with actual feeling." The audience laughed, thinking it was just harmless fun. But to Dolph, it was the lowest blow yet. Within minutes, word got back to him. Instead of firing back, Dolph simply walked away. He skipped his panel that afternoon and did private signings behind closed doors, something he had never done before. That quiet decision said everything. From that moment on, Thompson was done, completely erased from Dolph's professional world. But the story with Brian Thompson didn't end there, not even close. What started as quiet rivalry turned into years of unspoken tension that still hangs over both men's legacies. While the other feuds eventually faded into rumors, this one kept simmering under the surface, because Brian just couldn't stop throwing shade. After that Las Vegas fan expo incident, insiders say Dolph completely cut off any contact with him. No callbacks, no joint invites, not even polite hellos at conventions. But Brian didn't take the hint. Instead, he started hinting in interviews that he had been the original choice for several of Dolph's most famous roles. He'd casually drop lines like, "Yeah, I read for that part first," or "They wanted a little more emotion, so they went another way." Each time, the implication was crystal clear. He was taking shots at Dolph's reputation without ever saying his name. Hollywood folks started picking up on the pattern. Casting agents whispered that Brian carried Drago envy, that strange kind of resentment towards someone who got the spotlight you think was meant for you. And while Dolph moved on, building a respected career as both actor and director, Brian seemed trapped in that same old narrative. Every new interview somehow circled back to Rocky IV, as if he couldn't escape the ghost of a role he never even played. What made it worse was the way Thompson's digs kept evolving over time. In one podcast, he joked that some action stars only looked tough because the camera was kind. Another time, he claimed that he'd been offered a role in The Expendables, but turned it down because it was too crowded with muscles, not enough story. Fans instantly connected the dots. He was talking about Dolph again. Dolph, however, never responded publicly. No interviews, no statements, not even a quiet denial. That's his way, calm, professional, and quietly defiant. But behind the scenes, close friends say he took it personally. One former crew member revealed, he never says Thompson's name, he just calls him the talker. That's how deep the silence runs. By the late 2000s, their tension had become something of an inside Hollywood story. Not a full-blown feud, but an unspoken Cold War. Event organizers learned to keep their appearances separate, and when both men were invited to the same convention in 2019, Dolph's team allegedly requested that their panels be held on different days. That's how much he didn't want that energy near him. Even now, fans sometimes ask if they'll ever reconcile, if two aging action veterans could finally let the past go. But those who know Dolph say it's not about hate, it's about respect. Once you cross that invisible line with him, there's no going back. So now you've seen it all, 5 names that shape the untold side of Dolph Lundgren's Hollywood journey. From explosive rivalries with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal, to the chaos with Mickey Rourke, to the ego games with Tom Berenger, and finally, that silent, deep-cut feud with Brian Thompson. Every one of them left a mark that never truly faded. What's wild is that Dolph never turned these moments into publicity stunts or revenge stories. He just moved with quiet power, cutting people off, shutting doors, and walking away like a man who knows his worth. No yelling, no headlines, just silence that spoke louder than any comeback ever could. That's why his blacklist became legendary in its own right, not because of who's on it, but because of what it says about how he handles betrayal. Over the decades, Dolph earned his respect the hard way, through work, discipline, and unshakable focus. He didn't play games or beg for approval, he just kept doing his thing, one movie at a time. And even now, at 68, he's still standing strong, still training like a soldier, and still commanding that same presence that made the world fear Ivan Drago all those years ago. But there's one question that lingers, the one that divides fans even now. Was Dolph right to cut them off for good? Was he protecting his peace or letting pride run the show? Maybe both. Because in Hollywood, respect isn't just earned, it's defended. And let's be honest, if you'd been pushed, mocked, or erased the way he was, would you really forgive that? Or would you do what Dolph did? Lock that door, throw away the key, and never look back? So what do you think? Was Dolph right to walk away from all 5 for good? Let me know your take in the comments below. I want to hear what side you're on. Team forgive or team forget? And if you want more untold Hollywood drama, real behind-the-scenes stories, and wild rivalries the cameras never showed, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications right now. There's so much more coming your way. Stories that'll change how you see your favorite stars forever. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.